Welcome back, everybody. I'm sorry I didn't upload a video last month. I was busy with my wedding and honeymoon and running around, but I have a lot of updates for you this month. We have dyno tuning with some footage. I have some more footage of me driving on the street, doing a couple pulls on a back country road, actually along all the horse farms that most of the Kentucky Derby winners come from. So it's pretty back there. And I finished my console. We'll get into that. I got an alignment on the car. I've been driving around. I've probably put about 400 miles on it. So let's get into what I've been doing the last couple months. I got the car dyno tuned at DK Goodrich over in Frankfort, Kentucky. He did a great job. He was easy to work with. He made a modification to my wastegate arm to help hold boost earlier in the RPM range and come on quicker, which really improved the drivability of this car. There's so much more torque down low. And everybody wants to know, how much power did this make? So the stock numbers were 218 horsepower at the wheels. After tuning, it was 235 horsepower at the wheels. So 17 wheel horsepower gain. But that's only part of the story. Those are peak numbers. So I'm going to show you the graph. You can see that at other areas in the power band, I'm making 30 wheel horsepower, possibly even more down low. So it really comes through. They also got the peak horsepower to come in about 500 RPMs earlier. So yes, 17 wheel horsepower is probably not a big peak number change, but there is so much more power on tap at all times and significant gains in other places. Stock torque numbers were 220 at the wheels. After tuning, the peak was 257 torque at the wheels. So about a 37 torque gain at the peak. But again, that's only part of the story. Much lower in the RPMs. I'm seeing gains of over 65 torque at the wheels. And the boost and peak come in about 400 RPMs earlier. So again, I'm getting so much more power down low that's accessible and easy to use on the street. You'll notice on the stock tune that the air-to-fuel ratio stayed pretty high even during full throttle. It was running at about 14, and my tuner was able to drop it to about 12 in the mid-range. So the car is running richer while making all this power. It's under full boost. You're really getting on it. So richer is cooler and probably a little healthier for the engine than running leaner. So 235 wheel horsepower is about 275 horsepower at the crank. My dad ordered a Corvette C8 a few months after I started building this car, and it took him almost a year and a half to get that car. So for a good half year, my family was joking that I was gonna be able to build a car before GM could. And my dad is very excited to get his Corvette. He loves it. And I go and get this dyno tuned. And I did the math. And now with the stock Subaru engine tuned up, this car has the same power to weight ratio as this brand new Corvette C8. So 275 horsepower may not be an impressive number, but in a 2,000 pound car, it takes you pretty far. This thing moves. Let me show you a few videos. I got an alignment on the car and it feels way better. And the back I stuck with negative 0.5 degrees camber, keeping the wheels somewhat flat since these are the drive wheels. And on the front I did negative 0.7 degrees camber just to help a little bit of turning. And we maxed out at about 3 degrees caster on the front wheels. I put on this bare bump steer kit. You can see the gold washers on the right hand side. So I have used all the washers supplied with the kit. And the problem here is that your suspension moves the wheel along a certain arc when it hits a bump. And my steering rack here, the skinny silver rod going across the screen, moves along a different arc. So when they conflict, it pulls the steering rod, which turns the steering wheel in your hands. So what you want is for both of those to travel along the same arc. And by adding those gold spacers on the right, I got the arc to be much closer to the suspension arc. So now that they're lined up, they can move together rather than fighting each other. So we're back behind my driver's seat. I had complained about a lot of engine noise coming through this side. So I went ahead and fabricated a cover for that odd corner down here that was left open. And then also add a little seal along the side of my rear firewall just to stop engine noise from coming through, and it has helped quite a bit. I used some DEI exhaust wrap on my exhaust and it made a significant difference. I put that on and my engine bay temps are much better after a quick drive if I open the back hatch. So I think that does most of the work, but I also put a Mishimoto turbo blanket on here. And since I had seen the exhaust wrap by itself and it did so good, I don't think the turbo blanket does that much unless you track the car and you're really getting that turbo to glow red or, you know, boosting for a long periods of time. But together, definitely an improvement, and it looks pretty cool too. I can't deny finishing the center console makes this car feel so much more finished. I've been staring at a bundle of wires under there for a year and a half. So this is the last part I had, and I love it. I'm so happy I was able to make the factory 5 panels work because I do have a different shifter setup than the kit is intended for. So everything in my center console is basically custom. I had to modify things and to make my own parts. So these are the modified factory 5 panels on the side. I had complained a while back that I had to extend some of these wires that led to the steering column. And it looks like factory 5 kind of knew about it because they have this cutout in the metal. Like they don't expect you to extend all these wires and just kind of cut across here. So that's what I did. Doesn't look too bad. Definitely helps to put some black sheathing on it. Mounted my window switches and my hazards button. I'm thinking about doing a cup holder down here. I think I only have room for one in the center and maybe some kind of cubby or Bluetooth speaker I can put down there. But I did make the panels removable on the side because you do have your OBD2 and test connector wires that you need for tuning the car back there. So I wanted this to be removable. Same with this side. And this winter I'll probably wrap all this in some kind of black vinyl. But I'm saving that for when I take the seats out and can do the carpeting and all that together. Just gonna enjoy the car for a while now and drive it around. That's definitely a winter project for me. I had my first on-road failure. I was getting on it and the car lost power and I heard a large spraying noise, really loud one. Just a large kind of air noise. Came back here and realized that my hose that connects the throttle body to the intercooler had blown off. The whole thing had just pushed backwards under the high boost. So I got a new coupler on there. The old one looked like hell. I replaced it. I don't know if it's even made for automotive, but it is beat up and dented, and this parent one's much nicer. On top of that, I noticed that this intercooler is only mounted on the right side, right here on this isolated bracket. So I went ahead and made a temporary one out of this aluminum, kind of hard to see. This twisted piece down here. And that at least gives some support to the side. While I had the intercooler off, it came to me with this nasty corroded foam on it. And I tore it all off, cleaned up this pipe, this black piece under here. And it looks way better from the back. It always bothered me, it's covered in like electrical tape and looked like junk. So I also polished these up a little bit. They had a lot of road grime on them. The license plate bracket that came with the kit stuck out really far. And there's no recessed area for the license plate in the back, so I just went ahead and riveted it straight to the bumper. I think it looks much more low profile and normal. I'll probably switch those out to rib nuts if I ever have to replace the plate or anything like that. The headlight covers are permanently mounted now with some double-sided heavy-duty 3M tape. Now that I've gotten to drive the car around for a couple months and put about 400 miles on it, I have found lots of little issues. So in no particular order, here are the little things I have found. My passenger mirror is hiding behind my A-pillar. With the car sitting on the ground, my brake lines were too close to my fender well, aluminum, so I trimmed those out. My shifter cables were settling too close to the boot for my rear drive axle, so I moved those up a little bit. My mass airflow sensor was leaking, so I bought a new O-ring for it. My driver's side door pull didn't open the door. I had to adjust that. My driver's side exterior door lock did not work. The key would not lock and unlock the door, but the interior one did. When driving over my curb in my driveway, the aluminum panel behind my rear wheel was scratching the fiberglass for the rear bumper, making a terrible, loud screeching noise. So I trimmed that out for a little more clearance. My coolant level kept dipping for the first 100 miles or so. The system took a long time to fully burp the air out, but now it's finally stopped taking any coolant. I thought the engine was burning it for a while, but I think there was just lots of little nooks and crannies I was trying to fill. I got stuck in a quick rainstorm for a minute or two, and the water ran down the windshield through this crevice over that triangular corner bracket, and because I was going 40 miles per hour, it was spraying my knee, which is like back here. Even with 255 tires in the back, which are 10 inches wide, this thing can get sideways pretty easily. Just the stock engine was quite a bit of power. Now that's tuned up, even more noticeable. So you do have to respect this car. It is so light and so fast. It's the fastest thing I've ever driven to this moment. And I'm gonna have so much fun with this for the next couple months. And more of the build will probably come this winter. I'll keep doing things and keeping you updated, but I'll probably slow down until winter, just having fun with this car now that it's street legal. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.